Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to show you my Brassavola cucullata, as well as some of the other Brassavolas I have. When I first got my cucullata, I made a video earlier this year, but that video was mostly talking about Callia walkeriana, which is the one down there. But since then, my Brassavola cucullata has grown a lot of flower spikes and opened up a lot of flowers, and I was really excited because I've been waiting a really long time to see these flowers in bloom and as well as smell them, obviously. But before I go to all the details about all my Brassavolas, I guess just a very high level information about Brassavola as a genus. So it's together with the Callia alliance with some other genera. But Brassavola is really unique in the way that most of their leaves are really linear or cylindrical or narrow, and they have pretty high light requirements compared to the rest of all the orchids. And most of them are concentrated in terms of distribution, native in Central America, northern South America, and taxonomically they have, I think, 4 sections based on like the structure, the shape of the labella, and labella is just this part of the sepal, the petal that's modified, I think also known as a lip. But yeah, so out of the 4 sections, I actually have members from 3 of them. So the first one, which also is the star of today's video, is my Brassavola cucullata. Cucullata is a type species of the Brassavola genus, and it's characterized by these very long cylindrical leaves that are just much narrower than most of the other all of the other Brassavolas, I think. And when you look at the flowers, they are born on the terminus of a leaf of a pseudobulb, which is shared by 2 other sections of Brassavola, I think. But the flower itself is really breathtaking, and mine has a little bit of an orange tint to the sepals and petals, and I think that just makes them stand out even more. And if you look at them, you also see those fringe things on the labellum. On this petal. But overall, it's very long. It's much more flimsy looking, for lack of a better word, than the rest of the Brassavolas. And also this is, hopefully you can see it. This one is the bud that's about to open, and at the base of the sepal and petals, you see it's very long tube, and then it leads to the ovary. So this structure is also much longer than the rest of the Brassavolas. But as all Brassavolas, what makes me like it so much is the fragrance. So most Brassavolas, if not all of them, are night fragrant. They're extremely night fragrant, and cucullata is no exception to that. And I've actually really wanted to smell it, because if you know me, I love fragrant plants. And when the first cucullata opened, well, as of most orchids, I think, when the flower first open, the first couple of days, they don't really smell that much or at all, and then the smell kind of start to compound and almost feel like a bottle of really well-aged scotch, that the complexity of the smell of the scent just really develop as the flower ages for a few more days. But at first it didn't really smell, and for the next couple of days it smelled really strongly like semen, which was very surprising, because I read somewhere saying that some people find the smell repulsive, but the book didn't really say what it actually smelled like. But most other information I found online were saying, yeah, this is a really fragrant flower. They had no mention of the actual scent being so peculiar. But fortunately, I think after a few more days, more note came up in the smell, so it's much more complex and doesn't smell as bad as it did before. And it actually smelled really good, especially when it's not super concentrated. So here I have, I don't know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or so flowers that are open. And earlier I put it in my bedroom because I wanted to enjoy so much, but the bedroom is a small space and the flowers smelled so strongly, and that was during the first few days when it smelled like semen. That was not the most pleasant, but since then, since I moved up to a bigger room, it has got much better, much better. And also, of course, as the sun developed. So I have a few more coming. There's 3 on that pseudobulb, on that spike, and there's a few more on the back. But yeah, I'm really excited. It's just my first time seeing the cucullata bloom, and I've been wanting this for a really long time. And yeah, I'm just really blown away by this flower. It might becoming one of my favorite orchids. Well, it's already my favorite orchid. It might be becoming one of my favorite flowers, honestly. So moving off of this type species of Brassavola, aka cucullata, I have some more Brassavola that's open right now in front of us. This is a primary hybrid Brassavola Little Stars, and it is hybrid between Brassavola nodosa and Brassavola subulifolia. And both of them are in the same section that is characterized by the very narrowly constricted labellum base. Basically, it means that this part, like this is the labellum, and the base of it is really narrowly constricted. So if you compare this structure, where my fingertips are at, with what I have here for the cucullata, you'll see that the base of this petal isn't as narrowly constricted. So that's one characteristics of this section. But going back to little stars, so little stars, I think it has an S in the name. Little stars is a really famous hybrid, and both of its parents are actually also widely grown. I have them mounted on the same piece of cork, but they're all blending together now, so it's kind of hard to see them on the video, but let me find it. So this is a nodosa, and I have some subulifolia in the back. You know, I live in the Northeast right now, and it was really not doing well in the winter for the lack of light, and especially the subulifolia that on the back of the cork. So it's not blooming right now, but the difference between subulifolia and nodosa is that subulifolia usually have a lot more flowers per spike. As you can kind of see from this little stars hybrid that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers and one that's coming up. And that's typical for little stars for like 3 to 5, 6 flowers per spike. And as all Brassavolas, little stars smells really great at night. It does not smell like semen at all, ever in its life cycle or entire life stage of the flower. So that's good. And it has more of a thicker note to it. None of them is really thick per se, but if I were to describe cucullata as more like sharp or light scent, like citrusy but sharper and lighter, and the little stars are much sweeter and smells a little bit more earthy, but it's really hard to describe smells, as you probably already know it. So here's my little stars and my nodosa and subulifolia. I also have a triploid nodosa somewhere on this mount, and it started to grow the leaves on top of this flower spike, and it actually grew like 2 pseudobulbs. So a few days ago I cut them off and mounted them here on the same cork, so hopefully that's gonna work out. And in general, cucullata does really well mounted. All of my cucullata are either mounted or in a really airy small basket, and making them, because they like the roots to dry out, just like Callias. And moving on to then my next Brassavola. This is Brassavola perrinii, and this one just dropped its last flower, so I don't really have anything to show you, but it has like, I don't know if you can see, there's a spike coming up there, and there should be something in here. I don't know if the lighting is working, but yeah, I have 8 or 9 pseudobulbs coming up, so hopefully this will be a show in a couple of months. But I love the perrinii because in my experience it actually feels a lot more prolific than, say, subulifolia in my apartment environment, and it also grows a lot more flowers, and it's really easy to bloom. The flower scent is even sweeter than the little star or nodosa, and it's really hard to describe scent, but it's sweeter, it's heavier. So if I were to rank it in my head for all the 4 Brassavolas, 5. Anyways, if I were to rank all the Brassavolas scent in my head, like cucullata will be the lightest and the most citrusy, and then followed by nodosa, and then followed by little stars, and then followed by subulifolia, or the other way around, and then perrinii. But my point is that perrinii smells a lot more earthy and sweet, and it also shares the same, the shape morphology of the leaves as most other Brassavolas. And yeah, so overall, the culture of all the Brassavolas are really similar. They like a bright light. Here I have a southeast facing window. As you can see, they're just showering in the sun. I love them. I love seeing them. Just being in the sun, I feel like I almost feel that they're happy. Maybe that's just my wishful thinking. They're just like actually like, yeah, let me out. This is miserable. But I feel like they're happy and they're doing well and they like highlight. But I don't give them, full day, afternoon sharp sun. Some of them will actually handle it better. For example, I think nodosa will have those purple spots on the leaves and on the sheath, and as well as little star. Maybe I can show you one example here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. Like, the leaves keep getting in the way. If you can see some purple dots on the sheath here. Maybe in the one that on the back as well. But anyways, yeah, like that's usually a sign where it's good, but don't go too much above it, because they are producing those anthocyanins to protect them from oxidants that are from the sun. But anyways, they like a highlight. They like their roots to dry out between waterings. I actually water them every day, or once every 2 days, and I fertilize them once a week. Fertilization is just pretty general. The general I use like 20-20-20, like NPK fertilizer. Yeah, personally I think nodosa might be more salt tolerant than the rest of the Brassavolas, but the point is that don't worry too much about over fertilizing them or under fertilizing them. They're really forgiving. But of course, there was one time I did too much, and you see those roots turn black and like look like there's stuff on top of it, like slimy things when they're wet, but powdery when they're dry. But yeah, I believe that's because there was a point I fertilized it too much. But it didn't really hurt it that much, and all the leaves are actually bouncing back. Well, if you see this one, that's just, it's a really old leaf. Actually, it's falling off. Sorry, there's a root attached to it. I'll deal with that later. Yeah, so that's not an issue. Yeah, basically, that's the general care of Brassavola. Different species are really similar. I don't think there is really significant difference, if any. I think cucullata may need a little bit more water than nodosa, but in general, they're all very drought tolerant. All right, so this video is becoming way too long. I'll stop, and just one last shot of my Brassavola cucullata. and I can't wait when night falls tonight and I get to smell them again. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this is also a nice break from my continuous eucalyptus videos, and I'll see you next time.